The Supreme Court chamber was silent. Not heavy, not hostile. Just the kind of silence that knows power is about to speak. Elon Musk adjusted his tie, glanced briefly at the seal of the United States hanging above the bench, and waited. Across from him, Judge Harper flipped through a thick folder. Her expression was unreadable, but her voice wasn't. "Mr. Musk," she began, "you've challenged a federal restriction on satellite internet deployment. Some would say you're challenging the government itself." Soft murmurs in the gallery. Elon didn't blink. "I'm challenging the misuse of it." Judge Harper raised an eyebrow. "And you believe this court is the place for that conversation?" "I believe the Constitution is," Elon said. Calm, precise. Harper leaned forward. "Mr. Musk, are you prepared to explain why your engineers and launch teams should operate outside regulatory review?" Elon reached into his briefcase, pulled out a thin black folder, laid it gently on the podium. "Because in the name of oversight," he said, "they've buried innovation under outdated policy, and I brought the emails to prove it." A soft gasp rippled through the back row. Judge Harper frowned. "You're accusing a federal agency of obstruction?" "I'm not accusing," Elon replied. "I'm revealing." He slid the folder forward. FOIA documents from the FCC, internal memos showing deliberate slow-walking of Starlink approvals, and coordination with 3 of my competitors. Harper paused. That silence from earlier? Now it felt heavy. Judge Harper took the folder from the podium. Her fingers moved precisely, but slower now. Inside, printed emails, redacted memos, highlighted timelines, subject lines that read like whispers turned into echoes. Delay until Q4. Wait for competitor signal. Musk's team is moving too fast. Recommend pause. She looked up, expression tight. "Where did you get these?" Elon answered, still calm. "Through the Freedom of Information Act. Everything you're holding is legally obtained, time-stamped, and cross-referenced with launch windows we missed." Behind him, a reporter silently mouthed, "Oh my God." One of the FCC attorneys leaned forward. "Objection, Your Honor. This is outside the bounds of—" Harper raised a hand. The room froze. She turned back to Elon. "Are you alleging federal interference based on corporate favoritism?" "I'm not alleging," he said. "I'm inviting you to read what I've read." Harper sat back, documents in hand. Pages turned. Slowly. The courtroom shifted. Tension didn't build. It condensed. The judge's clerks leaned in. The FCC team scribbled. And Elon? He just stood there, hands folded, waiting. After several minutes, Harper spoke again. "Mr. Musk, this court does not tolerate posturing." Elon nodded. "Neither do rockets." A pause. Then Harper added, quieter this time. "This is no longer a simple regulatory review." And for the first time in that room, she wasn't the one asking the hardest questions. "Mr. Musk," Judge Harper said, eyes narrowing as she flipped another page, "you're not a lawyer. Why should this court accept your legal interpretation of regulatory overreach?" Elon didn't flinch. "I didn't come here as a lawyer," he replied. "I came as a citizen. And this document," he tapped the Constitution lying on the desk beside him, "wasn't written in legalese. It was written for the people who needed protection from power." That silenced the courtroom. The FCC counsel stepped in, trying to shift the momentum. "Let's be clear, Mr. Musk. No one is denying innovation. What we are discussing is lawful oversight." Elon nodded. "Then let's discuss what happens when oversight becomes obstruction." He opened a second folder. Inside, launch schedules delayed 17 times. Emails where no scientific concerns were raised, just market timing. Judge Harper leaned forward. Are you implying the agency is weaponizing regulation? I'm stating, Elon said, that when policy ignores science and suppresses opportunity, the First Amendment isn't the only thing at risk. So is the future. Harper folded her hands. And what future are you referring to? Elon looked around the courtroom, not at the judges, at the students in the back row, the young engineers, the quiet thinkers. The future that still believes ideas should lift people up, not wait for permission. A beat, then another. And then, quietly, Harper asked, "Do you teach law at one of your schools?" Elon smiled. Not yet. Judge Harper sat quietly for a moment. The kind of quiet that doesn't ask for order, but demands clarity. She turned to the FCC's lead counsel. Would you like to respond to Mr. Musk's documentation? The attorney shifted in his seat. Well, Your Honor, we believe Mr. Musk's interpretation of agency delays lacks... Harper raised a hand. Does it lack accuracy or convenience? The room stilled again. Elon remained silent. This time, the weight of his words had already shifted the air. One of the younger justices leaned toward his microphone. Mr. Musk, when did you first notice this pattern of interference? Elon opened his notebook. A year ago, when 3 satellite competitors received approvals within a week. We waited 6 months for the same model. He turned a page. Then came leaked documents, lobbying records, internal memos. The delay wasn't technical. It was strategic. Harper frowned. You're saying this wasn't about safety, but suppression? Elon nodded. And in a free country, suppressing access to space-based communication systems isn't a policy disagreement. It's a constitutional violation. The older justice beside her cleared his throat. Mr. Musk, with all due respect, are you arguing that your satellites are part of protected speech? Elon looked him straight in the eye. I'm saying, when a child in a remote village gets internet access for the first time, that signal is speech. A pause. And this time, even Harper leaned back in her chair and didn't know what to say. The room no longer felt like a courtroom. It felt like a classroom. Except the students wore robes, and the one teaching didn't call himself a teacher. Judge Harper tapped her pen against her notes. She wasn't looking at Elon anymore. She was thinking with him. We'll need to verify the chain of documentation, she said carefully. Elon nodded. Of course. The younger justice leaned into his mic again. Mr. Musk, do you believe regulatory systems are inherently flawed, or just misused? Elon paused. Systems aren't flawed. People misusing them are. Another silence. Not awkward, not defensive, just honest. Harper finally spoke. I've sat on this bench for 12 years. I've read arguments laced with legal citations, footnotes, and precedent. But today, I've heard something else. She looked around the chamber. I heard intent and courage, and someone who doesn't just want to win, but to protect the right to try. Murmurs in the gallery. The FCC attorneys sat straighter, but less certain. Then Harper turned back to Elon. This court will deliberate, but I want you to know, your voice was not wasted here. Elon stood. I didn't come here to win, he said. I came here to be heard, and if even one young mind leaves this room believing law can serve people, not politics, then that's enough. Harper nodded once. For the first time that day, she smiled. The ruling came a week later. The court ordered a temporary freeze on FCC's interference, pending full investigation. No victory laps, no speeches. Just one sentence from the ruling summary. Regulation cannot silence vision when rooted in public good. Elon read the decision in his office at SpaceX. He didn't cheer. He just closed the folder, looked out the window toward Launchpad 3 and whispered, "Now let's earn it." The next day, a letter arrived at his desk. From Judge Harper, handwritten. "Mr. Musk, thank you for reminding us that law was never meant to restrain progress, only to guide it. You spoke not just for your company, but for every idea waiting on the edge of permission." Inside the envelope, a folded note card. On it, the quote she had written during deliberation. "Freedom isn't loud. Sometimes it speaks from the launchpad." Later that evening, Elon handed the card to a young intern at Starlink. "Put this on the wall," he said, "right next to the access terminal." She read it, smiled, and quietly taped it in place. Across the world, students in law schools were now referencing Musk v. FCC in moot court debates. A new term began floating around legal Twitter: rocket clause. And somewhere in a distant town, a boy staring at a sky full of stars finally understood. You don't need permission to dream. You just need a reason to fight for it.
If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Subscribe for more inspiring stories.